Okay, this one will be really quick. I'm just introducing the idea of what is a logarithmic graph? How do we start going about making graphs of logarithms? And you'll see what I have here is a graph of log base 2 of x. And eventually we'll learn how to make these things ourselves. But just for starters, I'm going to use the graph as we're going through this table. And remember, whenever you're graphing something, even if you forget everything you knew about graphing, you can always go back to the very basic technique of plugging in x values into your equation and figuring out what the y values are. And in this example right here, I've got my function log base 2 of x, and that is y. So y equals log base 2 of x. And if you imagine x equals 1, what's y? Well, you would say log base 2 of 1. And remember, any base where the logarithm is, let me rephrase this, log base anything of 1. Okay, if the argument is 1, the answer is 0. So that first one's easy. Let's try another one. Let's say log base 2 of 2. Well, what's that? In other words, 2 to what power equals 2? 2 to what power over here equals the number 2? Well, it has to be 1, right? 2 to the 1th power is just 2. So this answer is 1. And let's try another value. Let's say log base 2 of 4. Okay, we'll try x equals 4. Well, 2 to the 2nd power equals 4, so this becomes 2, and you can see where this is going. Log base 2 of 8 in the next example, well, that's just 3. 2 to the 3rd power equals 8. And, of course, these are contrived. I just picked these values intentionally. But if you had picked something like 6, and you'd have to say, well, log base 2 of 6 equals what? Okay, that's a calculator question. I don't know that off the top of my head, but you would use the change of base formula. We've been through evaluations like this before. So we're using a table like this to fill in points. And if you plot these points, look at what we get. We get x at 1, y equals 0. Well, what's it about here? X equals 2, y equals 1. This looks pretty good. X equals 4, y equals 2. Maybe that's over here. X equals 8, y equals 3. Okay, all the way out here. You can see, yeah, this roughly tracks with the shape of this graph that I made. And this is the starter technique. This is how we're going to think about getting into logarithmic graphs. There will be more interesting techniques we use later on, but this is what you can always fall back on if you forget everything you knew about graphing.